If you're looking for an e-bike, you've probably noticed by now that there's thousands of models, and the problem with almost all e-bikes is that they just plain suck. I get e-bikes to review all of the time, and most of them are so bad that they don't make it on my channel. This bike though, I absolutely love, and this is the Engwe LE20, and the company did send it to me to review. They did not pay me to do any sponsored video. I would buy this bike with my own money. So the first thing that I like is there's a lot of companies that say their bikes are cargo bikes, and they're not really a cargo bike. They're not really cargo bikes. There's bicycles with step over tubes and a little bit of place for storage. Sometimes they don't even have them. This model of the LE20 that they first sent me was their introductory model. That comes in the default configuration, which is basically a bicycle you could put somebody on the back. But the top end model of the LE20 has all kinds of things for doing cargo. It's got a front basket, which I have now. It's got a rear pannier so you can put things inside of it. So I kind of made a Franken bike. I started with the LE20, the base model, then I put on their basket, but then I took off the seats on the back and I added my own pannier racks. I took off the seat on the back because I'm never going to drive somebody around on a cargo bike. I'm going to go do stuff with the cargo function. And I've taken it so far to do groceries. I take it every day to go get coffee. In fact, I go for coffee so often on this bicycle that I 3D designed and printed a coffee holder that goes on the back. So I took the base model, I got some like $20 pannier rack. That's great, and I go shopping with this about once a week. When it comes to specs, this thing is a killer. So it's got a 7-speed Shimano transmission, which I honestly don't use a lot. I usually have it in the 6th or the 7th gear on the settings, but I'm mostly using the power mode. So right now I'm cruising along in the first of the 5 assistance gears. It's enough that on hilly roads I've got some assistance, but I'm still doing some exercise, which I like. I can also go much higher with this, and there's a throttle on here. And the cool thing about the throttle is it doesn't kick in right away, which is good because it's right where the hand grip goes. And so if you accidentally were to grab a little bit of throttle and you're not really thinking about it, you could go flying away. But watch this. So I'm going to turn the throttle in 3, 2, 1, throttle. And there we go. Bicycle also has a top speed of 20 miles per hour. So if you're holding the throttle, it won't go above 20 miles an hour. If you have no throttle on and you're going downhill, it's not going to slow you down on a downhill, but it will not assist you past 20 miles an hour. The battery power on this thing is phenomenal. There are 2 separate batteries in here, and they're independently chargeable and independently removable. I don't remove them, I just plug them in when I'm in my garage. I haven't recharged this in a while. The other day I hit 29.9 miles right at the 50% charge of the first battery. Essentially I can get 100 to 120 miles off of a battery. For comparison's sake, that's biking from New York City and halfway to Washington DC, or from New York City to somewhere at the outskirts of Philadelphia. That is a lot of battery power. Another great thing about this bike is it has front suspension, and while I am bouncing around a lot right now, I'm going over some pretty big potholes. When you first get the bike though, the suspension is not set up. You have to turn a dial first in order to unlock the suspension. A lot of people I think don't realize that, and it's very harsh and it's a bumpy ride. That suspension fork makes this bike so much more comfortable than the majority of e-bikes that I have tried. The handlebars also fold down. I don't think that's so important because this bike is very heavy. It's at least 100 pounds. It's so heavy I can't get it on my normal hanging scale. So I'm not taking this thing upstairs to an apartment. I put it in a garage. I don't really have any need to fold the handlebars down. That's the one thing. It seems like a gimmick to me, but maybe it helps if you're commuting with the handlebars down. You can convince the conductor that it's not a bicycle. I don't know. What else is great about this bicycle? It's got front and rear disc brakes, which you really need for a bicycle this heavy, and they work very well. In fact, let me get away from some cars here. Okay, I'm going to come to there's a stop sign coming up. I'm going to do a very quick stop here. So this is how good the brakes are. Ready? There you go. And I just got everybody at a coffee shop to look at me. Oops. In a nod to safety, there's an automatic front light that's powered by the bicycle, and there's turn signals on the back. And on the handlebars, there's 2 buttons, a button for a left turn signal and a right turn signal. You push that, the lights blink in the back so people know you're turning. I think that's great. I wish every bicycle did that. I would put that on my road bike in a second if I could do that. Also, it has a bell, but mine doesn't work. Setting up the bike took almost no time at all. I just passed 2 people wearing a shirt that says class of 28, and I was the class of 88, and now my brain really hurts. Murray! There's my favorite dog, Murray. It's really rare for me to find e-bikes that I like. I've also been riding an Aventon that I like a lot. I'll be doing a review of that one. I reviewed a Cannondale e-bike that I love. That review you can find up here in the sky. And there's the best UPS guy in the world, Freddie! You might imagine. It doesn't really do all that tight of turns. Hello, how are you? So I live at the bottom of a pretty steep hill. I'm going to put this thing in 5, which is the most assist, and I'm going to start pedaling up the hill. This is a really steep hill. This is the steepest part. It's about 20% grade. It goes on longer, peaks a little bit more, but I did that with absolutely no problem whatsoever. So what are the drawbacks? Well, I mentioned it's really, really heavy, which makes it very hard to park when you're going someplace. My wife has a little bit more difficulty than I do putting the bike on the stand, so sometimes she just leans it, but not a big deal. Also, with a bike this heavy, it's not going to do very steep hills. If you live in San Francisco, this bike isn't going to do it for you. If you live somewhere like New York City or the suburbs, this bike's going to do a great job. But aside from that, this is the one e-bike that I go back to every single day. So what are my final thoughts? Engwe LE20, I would absolutely buy this with my own money. I would say in the summertime, I use this e-bike about 5 days a week. And in the winter, I use it 1 or 2 days a week. I use it anytime it's not too icy to go out and get stuff on the bicycle. You're in the market for a cargo e-bike? What are your chief things that you would like in an e-bike? Also, do you have any questions about this bike or really any other e-bike technology in general? Happy to answer that. Leave that in the comments below. If you've ridden one of these bikes, the Engwe bikes, I would love to hear your thoughts. Woo! Because this is the only model of the bike I have ever ridden, and I'd love to know if people have any other experiences with them. Hard left turn coming up. I'm going to give this thing a little gas. And that's my simple review of the Engwe LE20. For Dave Tries This, I'm David Schloss. And don't forget to wear your helmet.